Hola Comadres, welcome to another episode of Comadreando podcast. I'm your host Marcy, and today we have an amazing guest. Her name is Marcia, and I will let her introduce herself. Who are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcia Campos. I'm the grandmother of Aiden Rivas and the mother of Marcy Campos.
That's funny. So I always do a story on how we connected. So I was in utero when I met my mother.
Yes, you were.
So for today's topic, we're going to be diving into what it means to be a grandparent to an autistic child. And the reason why the topic came up is that we have highlighted a lot of moms and dads and all of that, and even uncles and aunts, but we haven't really gotten the perspective of what it means to be a grandparent to an autistic child. And in our WhatsApp chat for the special needs parents group, we were reflecting on how having supportive grandparents can make or break the experience of being an autism parent. And I feel like this is an important topic because, you know, we need to highlight people that are in our village that support us. And it's not very common to have such great support from people that are around you. So we need to give flowers where they're due in the time that they need to be given, right? So
That is correct.
So Marcia, tell us, what is your grandchild's diagnosis?
My grandchild diagnosis is in the autism spectrum disorder. He was diagnosed when he was around two and a half. So that's his diagnosis.
Okay. Before we get into that part, what is your career?
I'm a teacher. I've been teaching for 26 years here in the United States, and I also was a teacher in my native land, the Dominican Republic. I taught there for about 5 years, and then I immigrated to the United States, and I continue teaching in here. I started from the beginning, but it was a long walk, but I was able to become a teacher here.
Amazing. So going back to Aiden, his diagnosis is autism spectrum disorder. At the beginning, it was pervasive developmental disorder, which we were not really sure what that meant.
Yes.
So what was that like for you to find out about that? Because I know you've been teaching for a very long time. However, I'm not sure what your expertise was working with children with developmental disabilities in the school that you were working at, that you're still working at right now.
Oh, well, to me, it was a very challenging situation because, like you said, at the beginning, I did not know. I was used to work with children. I saw kids with different needs and that showed different behaviors, but I wasn't quite clear what it was. Although I had taken classes on to service and work with students with different needs, it wasn't clear to me. It was like I observed and saw all of these needs that our Aiden had, but I wasn't quite sure. I was like, I thought at the beginning, maybe it's a delay, maybe it will get better with the time, but I wasn't sure what was happening. I wasn't sure when he was diagnosed with that. My first thought was maybe this is something temporary. It's not something permanent. We're gonna work with him. We're gonna help him out. That was my thinking at the beginning, but it was really difficult for me. It was really, really, really difficult because I have seen it in other kids, but I never thought that was going to happen in my own life.
Yeah, it's very difficult as a teacher when, dealing with other people's children is one thing, but then having a child with a disability in your own family is another thing completely. And then not only that, but we didn't have the experience nor the information at the time about what autism was or how it manifested in different children. So,
Yeah,
it was.
what did
Mhm, go
it
ahead, sorry.
entitle? What did it entitle? What was it that we needed to do? Was this something that we could help to fix, or is it something? Is the not knowing situation what was really challenging to me, and I guess also to you, because it was really something that we were not expecting. We were not expecting. I remember when you were pregnant that we were expecting the baby, and everything was so beautiful, and I couldn't wait to become a grandmother. But then when that situation happened, it was something like, woo, it was very devastating for me. It was very challenging.
So before Aiden was diagnosed, can you like tell the listeners more or less what kind of baby he was like up until we noticed the change in him?
He was a normal child at all times. I remember him starting to produce sounds, little words. Um, he used to look at me and the face. I make jokes. I play with him. He was doing all of those um, things that the regular babies do until he started to exhibit those behaviors that were not we were not used to that.
Mm-hmm.
He laughed, he smiled, he paid attention, responded to his name, he asked for cheche, he asked for water, everything, everything
Mm-hmm.
until um, I started to notice those behaviors that were not regular in him. So
So what
I
were some of
started
the
to
behaviors
worry.
that you noticed? What were the behaviors that you noticed
Well,
at first?
I remember the first thing I noticed was that he became like he cried too much. There were a situation that did not merit him to become upset, and he became upset and cried. Um, I noticed that he started to lose words, like the way he communicated. I don't know if you remember, but I remember there was a advertisement on TV that turned him off. It was like he was fine. He was watching the TV with me, and all of a sudden, when he saw that commercial, it was a commercial, he started crying hysterically. He couldn't stop. I couldn't comfort him. There was no words that I said or anything that I did to comfort him that made him feel better. It was nothing that merited him to become that way. So that was something that concerned me. I was observing. I don't know if you remember, but I used to tell you there is nothing. I don't know why he's crying like that. I don't understand. And all of those little things. And then when he started to lose words, he stopped looking at people in the eye. It was like we talked to him and he didn't respond. Um, I remember when my sister came over to visit, that she told me, Marcia, I don't know, but it looks to me like Aiden is not listening. Do you know if he listens? And then I said, of course he does. But she told me, look at him, he's ignoring, he ignores everything. And I remember the time that we were in the car, and then she decided to make a sound. It was like a weird sound, like a sound that he wasn't used to it. It was not people talking, it was a strange sound that she made. And he reacted. He was screaming, he wanted to grab her, it was really, really bad. And then that's when we noticed that something was not right with Aiden, was not the way a regular child develops.
Yeah, it was definitely a learning experience for all of us, and it was difficult at the time, especially with the crying. Also, remember he used to like randomly just start laughing about nothing. Like he wouldn't even
Yes.
be playing with anything. He would randomly just start laughing, which
Hmm.
I after our research later we found out that that was like one of the signs.
Yes.
He didn't have. I don't remember him flapping as a baby. Do you remember if he did like any of those like repetitive behaviors with their hands or anything like that?
Movement? No, no, he didn't. He didn't. He was playful as a child. Like I don't know if you remember when he was. I think it was Halloween time, and I had
Right.
a little celebration with the family, and my sister came over with her kids, and he was chasing them. He was pretending he was a lion, and he laughing at so much fun. So all of those things were normal to me until I started noticing what I described before.
Yeah. So Halloween was October, and then we didn't. That was after his. That was before his first birthday, right?
Yes, uh,
And then we
yes,
noticed
before his
the
first
regression in
birthday.
language by the summer. My aunt came to visit, like I want to say late spring, early
That
summer.
summer, the following summer,
So that's when we noticed the regression in language. Um,
and it
so
was something that happened really fast. It was like in a matter of months that he went from saying, I believe, like 25 words that he got by then.
mhm, yeah,
He went down to not say no, say
I
no
think
words at
he
all.
stayed with like water and leche, and mommy. I think it was. Yeah, it
A
was.
little, but he did not
But
use it
he
that
wouldn't
much.
use it. He didn't use it consistently either. Because the thing is with Aiden
Mhm,
is that like now I know his behavior is that if he can get something from you with just using gestures, he's gonna do that. He's not gonna use the words unless you like
yeah.
prompt him. That's
Mhm.
one thing that we did learn from the speech pathologist that he had at the beginning, because he used to look at Aiden in the eyes with his like this is Indian, not Indian. I think it's from Pakistan actually. He would look at Aiden in the eyes, remember, and he like put his eyes really big and look at him and be like, "Use your words," and then Aiden would like start talking. But yeah,
Yes.
no, Aiden is very smart. Like if he can get something from you with just using gestures, he is not gonna talk.
Yeah, that was the time that he learned that he could get things. And then I remember I needed to be educated myself because
Hmm.
I used to guess. I was kind of guessing all the time what he wanted. And he
Hmm.
did not find encouragement to speak.
Hmm.
So I had to learn that myself, that I needed to wait for him to say what he wanted in order to provide it for him.
Hmm.
So,
And it was a learning experience for all of us. I feel like just kind of it's frustrating for us, right? Because we don't want him to cry, but then we also want him to be able to speak. So it was like finding that balance between not necessarily like setting him off so that he can like start getting upset, but like pushing him to talk. Because it's so easy to just kind of be like, this thing over here, that thing over there,
pointing,
instead of
yes.
saying things. What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Okay, so what once you found out that the diagnosis that we found out more or less the initial diagnosis, which was PDD-NOS, pervasive developmental disorder, what did you do to inform yourself about the disability?
Well, I started reading, and more than anything, I started kind of reflecting on my experience as a teacher, the type of things that I saw on the other children. And I also tried to learn. One of the things I used to do, I remember when the speech therapist came to the house, I was right there. I was right there trying to learn, seeing what he did. So I kind of repeated it myself with and follow the same pattern when I was home with him. And so all of that helped me to kind of get to know. And I also, like I said, I also started to read and learned. I Google it.
Good old Google. But also what I found that was more helpful from you was that you also learned Aiden. Because the thing is that you can Google a lot of things, but remember it's a spectrum, right? So what you did a lot was like really observe him
Mm-hmm.
and like I follow my lead also, like with the things that I was doing and the things that I was learning to teach you how to work with Aiden, right? Because the thing is, like, you're the grandma. You're like, oh, mi niño, my baby.
Oh yeah,
You wanna just,
I,
give him
I
whatever
used to
he
cry
wants.
with him. You remember that?
Yeah.
Because
So
I felt
I
like,
had
oh,
to
you're
teach
too
you to be a
strong.
little bit
You have to
tougher.
give him a chance. But yeah, you're right. I, I, I learned. I educated myself in terms of observing. I
Hmm.
became very observative, and I pay attention to things that turn him off, things that were no pleasant for him in terms of like noises and things like that that could bother him and make him
Hmm.
cry. So little by little, he was introduced. I was very patient with him, and I'm glad to say that today our Aiden is a different Aiden.
Hmm. Another thing that I want to shout my mom out for is that whenever we were at social functions, if she see that Aiden was gonna have a meltdown and he was ready to go, she did not care. It could have been the president's birthday party. She would grab her keys and like meet me outside so that we can go. Or I would
Yes.
like go outside first and like she would like say bye and then we would all leave together. But you were like the type of person to be like, I know he can stay a little bit longer, he can stay a little bit longer. Like you really were in tune with what he needed and like went by the clues and really followed through with that. Because it's easy to, especially our generation and like our upbringing, to disregard what children need or want because we feel like we know better as adults. So it's changing our way of thinking and the way we respond to our children, and the fact that letting them have their own voices and be able to respect that, because they are their own people, even though they are like little, but still they know what they want and what they like. And that's one thing that we did learn about Aiden, is that he was very sure on the things that he liked and he disliked, and following his lead with that. Because the thing is, like, okay, yes, we expose him, but also you have to find, like I said before, a balance about whether or not, like, how much you're exposing and like what you're gonna put your child through at that moment. Because there's a midway point, right, like between exposure and then traumatization. So you want to make sure you stay before the traumatizing
Experience.
line.
Yes, that is true. I was very aware, and I still aware of what is not or what are his or he wants, his wants, what he needs. And when I see that he's up to the point that he's not feeling comfortable, I make sure that he was not traumatized with the experience. Yes, we did introduce him to different situations. We were there with the family, but when I saw that it was time to go home, he needed to leave. I was the first one at the door to leave because I did not want him to get traumatized. I did not want him to be frustrated to the point that he had a meltdown. That is true. I think as a grandmother, we grandmothers of autistic kids should be really, really focused on understanding them, getting to know them, because this is our job. This is our part of our job as a grandmother to be able to understand it so we can better support our daughters or sons with their autistic kids.
I love that. So what were I want to say that when we're out together, that you notice that it's like a noisy environment. You're the first one, like you see him covering maybe with one finger his ear. You'll do the hand helmet over his ears so that he can still play with the iPhone or the iPad and still be comfortable in the environment. We actually, for your birthday last year, like around this time last year, we went to a restaurant that was what was it? The Colombian place?
Um,
Noches de Colombia, right? We went to
Noches de
Noches de Colombia,
Colombia. Yes.
and they had like live music, and it was nighttime, and Aiden stayed with us the whole time until we left. We left kind of late that day, and he did not have any problem at all, you know. But guys, this has been through years of exposure and
Mhm.
also knowing the limits, you know, knowing when to push the limits and when to respect his boundaries too. Because the thing is that you know, I understand some of us have our kids have a lot of needs, right? But we're not doing them any justice if we just shelter them and don't expose them to the real world. Because at the end of the day, we're not always going to be here, and the world is not always going to be as accommodating as we are. So we need to give them real world exposure so that they can be able to function as close to their neurotypical peers as possible.
Yeah, that is one of my main focus with Aiden, to get him as close as possible of the normal life, quote unquote, um, and that he can be able to adjust and function in the regular world without me or without you, because eventually um, he's going to grow up, he's going to become a man, and we're not going to be there for him all the time. There is situation that he's going to have to face himself. So I want him to be as ready as possible for him to face the real world.
You know what's funny? He surprises us a lot because
Oh yes.
even though like you know we try to give him as much independence as possible, but sometimes he comes out with stuff that we're just like, okay,
Wow.
you're doing this. All right, let's just let him cook. Let's see what he's gonna do, right? And he'll just the other day, what was it last year, last winter? We were walking and he wanted to run, and it was snowing outside, and I was like, Aiden, be careful. He's like, don't worry, mommy, I got this. And he just kept
Yes.
running
he
ahead of
comes
me.
up he comes up with all of those phrases that I don't know where he's getting from,
I mean, he
but
gets it from the TV. So this is the part of echolalic speech that I wanted to kind of like, get back to also, because one thing that you have learned is that about the Gestalt language, that Aiden's a Gestalt language processor, right? So that means that he's going to use echolalic speech to communicate, and it's not necessarily, it might not have to do with the situation at hand, but the way that he uses the language to communicate makes sense for the situation. So a lot of the time, he'll say things that he hears in a cartoon, and it sounds very sophisticated for his normal language, but it applies to the situation. So, like, another thing that we learned is like really listening to what he's saying. And then sometimes it's not, he'll say something from, like, let's say, Ni hao Kailan. So for example, if I say, Aiden, it's bedtime, he'll be like, Olivia, it's time for bed. Time to get ready, brush your teeth, right? But that's him reminding himself of the
mhm,
schedule.
mhm.
And he's not talking to Olivia, right? But he's talking to himself. But that's how he's processing it, so that he knows what's the next thing that he needs to do to in the routine of bedtime. So that's another thing that I encourage a lot of the grandmas to do, is like really listen and see what's the purpose of of the communication. Not necessarily what they're saying, but think about the situation and try to understand like what they're trying to say. I know it sounds difficult, but it takes time and practice.
Time and practice, that's what it takes.
And then when what is it when we say it's dinner time? We'll be like, oh, Peppa, dinner, and he'll come downstairs and like get ready for to have dinner with us, which is funny. But yeah, no, he'll say like random names of cartoons, but like the dialogue that follows usually pertains to the situation,
To the
which is
situation, yes.
yeah.
Yes, that's
Once
the
we
way he
discovered
had
that, it
learned.
was like yeah, it was like treasure. Like we found
Mhm.
treasure because we didn't really understand the purpose of the language at the beginning. Even me as a special education teacher, I had all this training, and I've been to all these professional development sessions with different people, and I specifically chose like autism different ones, but nobody talked about gestalt language processors or like echolalic speech and how it serves a purpose.
Mhm.
A lot of people wanted to discount what he was saying, like if it really didn't have anything to do with the situation. But like now looking at it, like he's been communicating and using very complex sentences. Yes, it's copied, quote unquote, from a cartoon or a movie or whatever it is, but it applies to whatever's going on at hand.
It is appropriate to the situation that he's going on, he's experiencing at that time. Hmm.
Hmm. So, what
It's
do
so
you
much to
do?
learn. It is so much to learn about autistic kids. It's amazing, and if you really pay attention, you will see that they are really truly special, but special in the good sense. They are really, really amazing people. So bright, so smart.
So, I wanted to ask you, how do you connect with Aiden? Like, what do you do to connect with your grandchild? To spend time together or to like get closer to him, to like get into his world?
Well, I pay a lot of attention to what he wants. He loves to come to grandma's house, as you know. He's always asking for that. I try to set up a special times with him. Either we have a date and we go out, or you want to come to grandma's room and you're gonna snuggle with grandma and we watch cartoon together. I really feel like we have a very special connection, Aidan and I. He loves me. I love him to death.
Wait, tell us about the last date that you guys had together. Tell us what that experience was like.
Well, it was that this past Easter. I said, I sent him a message with you. I told tell Aiden that we're having a date. Rama is gonna go there, and he was waiting for it. When I went there, he went in the car. He was ready for the restaurant. I asked him what he wanted, where he wanted to go, and first he asked for chicken nuggets. And I said, well, I don't want to go to McDonald's. I think we should go to a very special place. So I took him to this restaurant and he was there like a grown up man. He was ordering his food. He was asking the waiter to come and bring him more soda. It was really, really, really special. He kissed grandma. He took pictures with grandma, and he was really, really happy. I was really, really happy to see him smiling and enjoying that date with grandma.
Wait, can you talk about the aspect of physical affection? Remember at first he really wasn't into hugs or anything like that. And now he like randomly.
Yeah, that is something that had also changed. Yes, when he started with all the behavior that pertain to the spectrum, to the um, autism, he didn't like kisses. He didn't like hugs. So I respected that. But little by little, I always told him, oh, grandma wants a big kiss over here, but grandma needs a hug. And now I don't even have to ask him. He comes to me. He does it on his own. So that's a big change from when we started to the Aiden that he is at this point.
Wait, mom, can you tell them about when he's chapeando that he's like doing something bad that he
Oh no,
that you catch him?
and I catch him and he goes, I love you, grandma. Grandma,
Mm.
I need a hug. He goes mushy, mushy, kissing, kissing, and but he knows that's to get his way. But Grandma doesn't let him.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh wait. So going to those kind of memories. So what are some joyful or challenging memories that you want to share about Aiden that come to mind? You
Oh,
can start with challenging and then go to joyful, or joyful and then go to challenging. It's up to you.
I'm gonna start with the challenging one. To me, um, when I found out that he has so much trouble chewing, to me it was so scary. Oh my God. I remember I was so scared when I feeded him food or anything that was that he needed to chew. Because believe it or not, those behaviors that we take for granted, like chewing is a natural thing that people are not taught to chew. We had to teach him. We had to remind him to chew his food. So it was to me like I remember the time that he was choking on a bone or on food that I fed him, and it was like, oh my God, I was so scared. So it was so scary to me. So that's one of the challenging one of them. We gotta have other, but that's one of the one I always come to my mind because I was so scared. I was so afraid that he was going to choke on the food and I was not going to be able to save him at that moment. It was really, really challenging to me. So I'm so glad that at this point he has improved so much. We still need to remind him to chew and to eat his food slowly, but he's doing much, much better with that. He's doing really, really much better.
With the chewing thing, I think it's a teenage thing. He's just trying to like finish the food so he can go back to playing or whatever. But definitely like working on like reminding him of like, okay, slow down. The food is not going anywhere. You can still watch the same TV. And if it was like that he was watching live TV, I understand. But he's watching YouTube videos. Like he can watch it whenever he wants. But in his mind, it's like, oh, I have to finish right away so that I can eat. Like so I can go upstairs and play. It reminds me of my brothers a little bit, but not so much. Like not so extreme like Aiden. Like Aiden, literally, like he'll inhale a plate of rice and beans in like a fraction of seconds, and you're like, "What happened to all your food? Did you throw it away?" You're like,
Yeah,
he's like,
so
"No,
fast.
it's in my belly."
The joyful moments when he graduated last year, I was so, oh my God, like I felt like I wanted to cry because it was so rewarding seeing him graduating. And when he learned to read, that he read books, stories to me, making the different voices. And when I discovered that he is able to put together his own cartoons,
Yeah.
he creates new things. He mixes up cartoons and voices and faces and episodes and things that happen, and he brings it from one cartoon to the other. I could see how bright he is,
Mm-hmm.
how amazing my grandson is, and that has no words to describe the feeling, the of happiness, the feeling of the rewarding feeling of seeing him turning into such a amazing young boy.
Yeah.
So because at the beginning I was really scared. I didn't know what his life was going to be like. Um, I didn't know if he was going to become independent, but I've seen the growth, and all of that. It's making me feel, and I'm certain now that he's going to be able to succeed. He's going to be able to be part of the world, to be successful, and become the type of person that I want him to become. So I'm certain, I know, Aiden is going to shine. He's shining already.
You know what's funny? I was remembering now. Remember when we went to DR? I think it was like he must have been 6 or 7. That we were all eating together, and then like you were wearing heels and you were behind us, and
Oh
we were like
yeah.
walking really fast because we were running late. And he's like, "Oh no, where's Grandma?" And he's like turning
He
around looking for
rushed
my
through
mom.
the front, but when he noticed that grandma was behind because I was wearing my heels, he ran back to grab grandma because he was not going to leave or go without me. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
he's very.
So
That's
he
one thing
was
about Aiden.
really
He's very protective. He's very
very
protective.
protective and he was so aware of what's going on. So it's not, people may think that autistic kids are in their own little world. It's not true. Aiden has the capacity to be aware and pay attention to 5, 10 times at the same things at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So he was running. He was aware that we are running late because the airplane is about to leave and we need to get there. But he was also aware the poor grandma was behind. So he went there to grab me, to get me. If I told you, he would not leave without me.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He does not play. And even like sometimes like I think you were in DR and then we went to go look at the house and like check your mail or something. And he'll get to the house. He's like, "But where's Grandma?" And he'll look at me like, "What happened to Grandma?" And then I remind him like you're in DR, and he's like, "Oh yeah." And then he'll call you on FaceTime to make sure that you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, remember like when you had surgery, it
Oh
had
no,
been
he
like
was.
a year already.
Mm-hmm.
And he was still remembering. He's like, "Oh, Grandma, how's your arm?" And like
How's your
very
arm,
concerned.
grandma? Are you okay, grandma? He always asks me. If he
Mm-hmm.
sees like I'm going through anything, he knows that something is not right and he wants me to be well. So he's asking. He's always very protective.
He's really funny. Oh my God! Wait, can you tell the snow story?
What?
The window story in the snow.
Oh, the snow story. Oh no, my God. By then, I wasn't as informed as I am now. So you know that he is very tricky. So and
He's very
sometimes
sneaky.
mischievous. But he knows that grandma is always paying attention now, and would not um go away or ignore anything. Like I know when he tries something, he persists until he gets it that way.
Mm-hmm. He's very persistent.
Yeah, he's very persistent. Um, so that day was a day that I will never forget. We were he wanted to go to the snow and he was asking grandma to take him outside, so he wanted to build a snowman. So I said, okay, let's go outside, let's take Ada so we can build a snowman. But when he went there, it was too cold, so he decided to come back in. So I started to make a hot cocoa for us. Um, and he said to me that he wanted to be in bed. So he went to the
Wanted to
room.
take a nap.
He went to take a nap. He went to the room and he was in the room. We assumed that he was watching TV or taking a nap. But what he did was that he shut the door and he was looking at the snow out the window and he decided that he wanted to go there. But he didn't ask me. So what he did was he opened the window and not that he fell. It was a first floor, thank God. Not that he fell. I believe, based on what I saw in my analysis of everything that happened at that moment, um, he climbed down the window. He turned like one of those cartoons. He grabbed the edge of the window and he slowly slide down the window. Because I saw in the snow the foot print on the floor. It wasn't that he fell head first. He slid down the window. And thank God. That was really, really scary because my daughter-in-law, Farisa, she was outside with my son Albert cleaning the car, the snow out of the cars, and she heard that little voice. Oh, it's so cold! It is too cold. We were still in the kitchen making the hot cocoa. Thank God, thank God. She was outside, and they heard him.
He was
So
like,
it was a very
cold.
scary
He was like,
experience.
it's cold. And then when Variza found him, he was wearing just like his
Socks,
long
socks,
pajamas.
and,
No,
and,
he
and
wasn't
long,
even.
long
Was he
pajamas.
even wearing
No,
socks?
he has the stockings. He had the socks on, and the PJs. That was all he was on. It was really, really scary. And trying to explain that day, I realized that uh, we needed to be really, really alert with him because he wasn't aware of
Dangerous.
what was dangerous. He was not aware of danger because if he knew, he would never go in his PJs outside
Hmm.
and try to walk in the snow. It was really, really, really scary, that memory, and painful to me. It's still painful. It is still painful. So I,
Okay.
I really recommend grandmas and parents of autistic kids to get to know them and always, always, always be aware of where they are, and be aware that they are not um, aware of danger. So
Yeah.
we need to protect them until they
Hmm.
learn what is dangerous. Because I know that right now, after that episode, right now, Aiden cannot see a window open. He goes, he runs, he shut it down.
It's
Because
true.
now he knows that windows are dangerous. So,
Hmm.
but until they um, acquire those skills, and they acquire the ability to distinguish what is dangerous, we have to be protecting. We have to be aware. We have to make sure that they are safe.
So I had a question. How do you educate the rest of the family that are elders, like people that are older than us, about Aiden's differences or like how Aiden learns?
Well, I always talk to them. I get them to understand that being different doesn't mean to be less. It doesn't
Hmm.
mean to be less. So as of now, my family, they all very, very um, uh, uh, aware of what autism is and
Hmm.
his abilities. That he's able to be there. Let me tell you that I think they know a lot. They have acquired a lot of knowledge dealing with Aiden. They have been able to get to know what an autistic kids do, and how they are special, and they also valuable, and they are um, special, but at the same time they're valuable. They have their value. They know they are special, but they don't have to be treated differently because of that. They have to be understood.
Hmm. Awesome. So I was gonna say, do you find that you give your grandchild special treatment over other children? Of course you do.
Of course, he's my boy. No, but at the same time, I'm also firm when I have to be firm with him. When I try to educate him, because I know that the world is not just little grandmothers pleasing
Hmm.
you here and there. So he needs
Hmm.
to get ready for the world.
Sure. So, any other tips and tricks that you would give to grandparents of recently diagnosed children? So you said, get to know them, listen to them, right?
Listen to them, pay attention, be observative. That's the way you can get to know your grandkid. what triggers. Um, you can get to know what is good, what do they want, what do they prefer, so you can kind of use that to be able to introduce them to the real world, and little by little you're going to be overcoming the difficult situations. And one
Mhm.
last thing I want to tell parents of autistic kids: don't ever give up. Do not ever give up on your grandson or your granddaughter, because they can make it. They can make it with your support and the parents' support. They can make it. They can become um, uh, citizens of the world. They can become whatever they want. It's just a matter of supporting them and making sure that they have what they need. Don't ever give up. You look for support, you look for therapy, you look for anything that they need, and be there, because before you know it, they're going to be like my Aiden. Okay?
All right, comadre. So this was an amazing episode, Mom. Thank you for coming on the show. It's
Oh,
your
thank
first
you for having
time.
me over.
Yay! You're officially a comadre of the show. So I'm gonna end the show how I usually end it, which is follow me at Comadreando Pod. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to send me a Comadre-Gram via email at marcy@comadreandopod.com or slide up into my DMs. Remember to visit our website, www.comadreandopod.com, to read our latest blog posts, find out about future events, and get your official Comadre merch. Comadres, remember this Wednesday, April 19th, we're having a Uptown Autism Family Safety event that is going to be taking place at Alianza Dominicana Cultural Center in Washington Heights, 530 West 166th Street. Starting at 6:30 and ending at 8:30. Make sure to bring your babies. We're gonna have all kinds of stuff over there. Gift bags, a sensory corner. We're gonna have a couple of presentations by different people. Make sure that you come on down and bring a family member.
You bring the
Um,
grandmas.
and bring the grandmas. Thank you for spending time with your comadres, and good night, everyone. Bye.